She felt her pulse race as she got to the doctor and got examined just as she had been months ago. The doctor had a surprised look on his face just as he had before. What was wrong this time? She was worried about a complication. He was not to give her news that she could never have expected. This time what he told her was very different from before, and her world would be turned upside down. Courtney Cantrell was a regular woman with a loving husband. She thought that she had everything she wanted in life. But life often has unexpected twists and turns. Courtney would wake up one day to what she thought was a toothache, but she wouldn't be ready for the news her doctor would give her. Courtney lived in a good neighborhood with her husband, Martin. The married couple had talked about kids before but hadn't decided to take the plunge just yet. They were in a good spot, and Courtney felt that she couldn't be happier. She didn't think that anything could ruin the happiness she felt until her face started growing. One morning, Courtney woke up to a dreadful pain in her mouth. She rinsed it with mouthwash and hoped it would go away. But throughout the day, the pain gradually got worse. She now knew that it was toothache, but she had always practiced good oral hygiene. It was important to her job as a model. She just needed to go to a doctor and find out what was going on. With the encouragement of her husband, Courtney booked a doctor's appointment the next day to figure out what was going on. She was nervous about the toothache. Her face had swollen up in the span of a few hours. The last thing she needed was a complication. But once she arrived at the doctor's office, she couldn't believe what he would tell her. Once the doctor examined Courtney's face, she could see the surprise in his eyes. There was clearly something that he wasn't telling her. She nervously waited while he finished up his examination and wrote some notes down. The anticipation was killing her the entire time. But soon he would tell her exactly what was going on, but it would have her in tears. The doctor sat down after her examination and gave her news she never thought she'd hear. "It looks as if you're pregnant. Congratulations." Courtney felt the room spin. She was pregnant. After catching her breath, she drove back home to her husband and told him the news. He couldn't believe it either. They hadn't planned it, but they were over the moon with excitement. But there was more to it than just pregnancy. The doctor had also prescribed Courtney medication to reduce the swelling of her face. But as the weeks went by, she noticed that the swelling just wouldn't go down. The pain was still present, but the baby-safe painkillers were helping. But when she found out what was really causing the pain, she would have to make the hardest choice in the world. Courtney had developed a special bond with her unborn baby, as most mothers do. She would talk to it often and feel it move around in her body. It was a feeling she had never had before, and thanked the universe for giving her the opportunity to be a mother. But she would soon be left with a choice that shattered her world. The terrible pain and swelling hadn't just not improved, but had actually gotten worse. She decided to go for a faithful checkup to see why she wasn't getting better. She didn't want her child to have any complications, so she had to be healthy too. But the news from the doctor would be anything but positive. Once she got to the doctor and got examined just as she had been months prior when she got the news of her pregnancy. The doctor showed a surprised look on his face just as he had before. But this time what he told her was very different from before. Her doctor gave her an ultrasound to check on her baby and was speechless with what he saw. He informed Courtney that she was in fact carrying not just one child but two. She was going to be the proud mother of twins. But what of her swollen face? Why wasn't it getting better? Her doctor would have answers for that too. The doctor described a condition called preeclampsia to Courtney. It is the buildup of protein and blood pressure and can happen when carrying more than one child. This can cause swelling, especially in the face. Finally, the answer was in front of them. And now that the doctor knew exactly what it was, he could medicate Courtney properly. Her face would reduce in size and her pregnancy could continue without complications. Courtney's face improved over the next few months, and she was excited to be able to bring two lives into the world instead of just one. Finally, the day came for Courtney to deliver her children, and with Martin by her side, the birth was a success. They now had a beautiful baby girl and boy. After everything that Courtney had been through, she was more than happy that she got two amazing babies out of it and had no long-term effects. She could now live her life and look forward to raising her children with her wonderful husband. She decided to name her daughter Skylar and her son Toby.